So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, The Occult View. So I wanted to make this video earlier, but I got interrupted. So let me try to make it now. I want to talk about Tiffany Haddish. She went on a podcast recently. I'm just going to jump right into it. And she started making some very disparaging remarks about women who have multiple um, baby daddies. Let me say it just like that, right? And she specifically said if a woman has more than two baby daddies, that basically is a sign of a mental illness. Now, let me say this as a disclaimer. I'm not judging anybody either way. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a stake in this fight, and I'm not judging anybody either way. But here's why I have a problem with Tiffany Haddish and her giving out or making these types of assessments. She went on to say things like, let me go to the video. I don't want to play the video, but I want to read some of the things she said. Let me see. She went on to say that the comedian claimed, while appearing on the Godfrey podcast, I don't even know who that is. I don't know who that is. Um, she went on to say the comedian claimed there's a deeper issue behind having more than two baby daddies. If you get pregnant by multiple people, that's multiple spirits, multiple thoughts, multiple modifications from different DNA strands, she said. She continued, usually those bitches are struggling in so many different ways, not just financially, but with where to focus. And that's where the comments end. Here's where I have a problem with that. And I'm not taking up for nobody's reckless or bad behavior. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm looking at the spell work and what she's trying to throw out at people. Now, my mother had two children, right? She had only two children. She had my brother has a different father. I have a different father. Okay? It is what it is. And my mother, as you all know, was not the best mother. And I really don't hold her entirely responsible for that because I understand when she had me and my brother at that time, for me in the late 70s, for my brother in the late 80s, I understand it, I get it, I got it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't just totally, hold, her responsible because she was young. And I get it. I get it and I understand it. But my mother only had two baby daddies, and she was one of the worst mothers that you could possibly imagine. Okay? She was not a good mother. Emotionally manipulative, a narcissist, and emotionally abusive. So, right there, that kind of cancels what Tiffany Haddish is saying about women who have more than two baby daddies. My mother only had two baby daddies, and she was not a good mother. That's number one. Number two, since when has Tiffany Haddish started talking about modifications and genetic differences and DNA strands and, you know, different spiritual, elements of having, different or multiple baby daddies? Since when has she started talking about that? And the thing is, and I'm not trying to be insensitive when I say this, but I'm hearing that she's not able to have children allegedly, but yet she's shaming women who can. That's number two. Number three, why should we be listening to a woman who went on to Andy Cohen's show, Watch What Happens Live? She's talking about mental illness, right? She's talking about mental illness. Why should we be listening to a woman who went on to Andy Cohen's show some years back, played this little game in the clubhouse? Andy always makes his guests play games. Played this game in the clubhouse called "What was the worst thing that you did to your ex?" And you know what she said? She said that one of her exes, and I believe it was a famous person, but she would not name who it was. She said that one of her exes, one of the worst things that she did to an ex was she defecated in his brand new tennis shoes. And for those people in the back who don't know what defecate means, it means she shitted in them. But yet, you're talking about mental illness? Why should we be listening to a woman who was in a movie with Aries Spears? I believe that was a movie where it appeared or it was alluded to her grooming a child. And you all are putting this woman on podcast, putting money in her pocket, and we're supposed to just ignore that she was in a movie where it appeared as if she was grooming children, and we're listening to this? And isn't she a Sagittarius? Hmm, very interesting. My mother's on the cusp with Sagittarius. But this is what we're listening to? So my question is, and also, this is the same woman who has been getting DUIs every time you turn around. But she wants to talk about women who have multiple baby daddies having mental illnesses. And I'm not saying that she doesn't have a right to feel that way. What I'm saying is she should clean up her own backyard before she starts judging other women. That's what I'm saying. And that is why I say sometimes the messenger, it because they say don't shoot the messenger. Well, sometimes you have to shoot the messenger because I don't want to hear this message coming from her. And I'm not even a woman. How can she sit up on her soapbox and be so self righteous, indignated, and put that type of spell work over women with more than two baby daddies? And I hate even using that term because it's ghetto and ratchet. See, this is what I'm talking about. How can this ghetto ratchet woman, because Tiffany Haddish, she's ghetto and she's ratchet. She has no class and she's not that funny. And she was forced on us. And unless you know a woman's story, another woman's story, you really don't have the right to make those types of judgments. And like I said, the only reason I'm saying anything, it's not because, I'm saying what she said is, horrible or wrong, which it is horrible what she's saying. It's horrible because the messenger is corrupt. Tiffany Haddish is corrupt. And they are using her as a mouthpiece to tear down other black women. Ultimately, you don't think it's a mental illness that you're going around defecating in somebody's shoes simply because they broke up with you or they cheated on you or something like that? I just find it interesting that this is the person that they're choosing to promote that message. A person with mental illnesses is trying to call out other people, and I'm going to say uncontrolled mental illnesses. And then she goes down and starts calling them, these bitches are usually struggling in so many different ways, not just financially. Well, a woman that's seen in a movie trying to groom children, allegedly, you don't think there's some struggling there. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, really, what are we doing? Is this the best that we can do? Now, I can understand if they're having a conversation, having a real conversation about this topic. I get that. But to choose this person to say the things that she is saying, to shame people, shaming people does not create solutions. That doesn't create solutions. And again, I'm not saying that she's not entitled to her opinion, but these are not opinions. She's making judgments. And she's not in a position to make any judgments, especially when she's not even a mother. She gave her eggs away. She donated her eggs to a lot of people when she was younger, and I heard they didn't even use her eggs. The bottom line is this: Tiffany Haddish don't like children. That's what it's all about. She does not like children. And that's really the bigger picture of this story. That's why she gave her eggs away. She probably sold them. But for her to make that statement and for her to be the ambassador of this message when she herself has a bunch of mental issues, just like when she tried to come for Monique, and Monique, she checked that ass. And Monique is a Sagittarius too. She checked that ass. I just don't think that Tiffany Haddish, and this is no disrespect to any woman that has multiple children, that's not my business. That's not my business. And really, it's not hers either because she's not even a mother. She's never had children before. And that's no disrespect to women who cannot have children or who don't have children. But I find it interesting that they're using her as the ambassador of this message, and they want to put a mental illness spin on a woman that has more than two baby daddies. And the fact that they are putting an emphasis on the number two, that is how I know it's spell work because they're throwing out those numbers. That's how I know it's spell work. Tiffany Haddish is up under ritual. She's up under a humiliation ritual. And she has been for quite some time. That movie that she did with Aries Spears, no one really knew about it until it got exposed some years back, where it looked like she was grooming a child for Aries Spears' character who was pretending to be the P word. When everybody saw the clips of the movie, I never looked the movie up because I don't want to see that shit. That shit is disgusting. So that is why I am saying she should not be talking about anybody having mental illnesses, especially women that have. I wouldn't care if they had a million children by a million different men. She is the wrong ambassador of that message, and she should not be talking about it. This is a woman that defecates in men's shoes. Have we forgotten about that? Those were her words. I heard it come out of her mouth. And see, this is the problem with social media, podcasts, and all of this other stuff. That's why I said at the beginning of the video, if I can remember, that that is why I believe that social media is one big social CIA experiment where they take the most unhinged and the most psychologically damaged people like her and they give them a platform to speak on. They're putting money in her pocket to display her mental illness. Now, when did she start talking about DNA strands and all of these other esoteric things? When have you ever heard Tiffany Haddish talk about that before? And maybe she has, and I just didn't see it. But it sounds like she's been looking at people on YouTube who are not as well known, and she's stealing from them. Because a lot of these Hollywood people, they've gotten on YouTube and they have really taken over YouTube. That is why it is so hard for your average YouTuber to get views and to make money on this site, because all of these celebrities and rich people, they have come onto the scene with their nonsense, and it makes it more difficult to get in the right algorithm. They steal from average people, they steal their ideas and they make it their own. Like now, all of a sudden, she's talking about people struggling financially, but from what I understand, she's struggling financially. Talking about, what did she say? She continues, usually those bitches are struggling in so many ways. Well, she doesn't have children and she's still struggling. So what's her excuse? I can understand a mother struggling with her children, because I'm going to assume it is hard for a mother to raise her children. I'm going to assume that. Hell, I'll even play devil's advocate with my mother. It was probably hard, trying to raise two sons by yourself the little bit of time that I did live with my mother when I was a teenager. So what the fuck is she talking about? Of course, it's probably a struggle sometimes for some mothers. That's nothing to shame anybody over. That's nothing to be ashamed about. Why is this woman getting airtime? She's not that talented, if you ask me. To me, she's not that talented. She's not even that funny. She was horrible as Walona in the Good Times remake. She was horrible in that Madam C.J. Walker movie. I'm trying to think what else. She's not, I mean, she's basically been forced down our throats. And see, this is a prime example of what I'm talking about with people, and people who don't take any accountability for anything that they do and for anything that they say. This is what I'm talking about. She takes no accountability for anything. And yet we're supposed to take what she says seriously? If you don't know what it's like to be a mother, and if you don't know what it's like to struggle as a mother, then you need to shut the fuck up judging mothers. You need to shut the fuck up. You really do. And I'm not taking up for any bad, ratchet, loathsome behavior. I'm not taking up for that. I'm looking at the messenger. The messenger is corrupt. The messenger is corrupt. You all would have been doing better if you had Tamar Braxton say something like that. And I don't know how they got on this conversation, but why is it that when people are trying to make a comeback, I find it so interesting. Why is it that because she's really talking about black women. She didn't say that, but the energy and the tone of this, they're always targeting black women, her being a black woman herself. So that's what she's trying to target black women, of course. And I forgot what I was getting ready to say, but it'll come back to me. Oh, I remember now. Why is it that whenever somebody's trying to revamp their career in Hollywood, the first thing that they do is start talking about women with children? You don't have any children, ma'am. You don't have any children, and neither do I. But what she is saying is very detrimental, because it's not just attacking mothers who have multiple baby daddies. She is throwing negativity out into the universe to create more negativity. And she's being used to do that. because obviously she don't have a lot going on. I haven't heard about her having anything major going on since she was in that weird movie with Aries Spears that I mentioned earlier, where she looked like she was grooming a child. I'm going to keep saying that because have people forgot about that? Have people forgot about that? But why is it when people like her, and not just her, men do this too? Why is it that when people are trying to make a comeback in their career, the first thing that they do is attack mothers with children? This isn't just about this isn't just about women with multiple baby daddies. This is an attack on single mothers in general, if you ask me. That is what it's about. And my thing is, if that's what it's about, you need to be honest and just say that and stop playing all these glamour games. I see through your weak glamour. And glamour is a form of spell work and witchcraft for those who don't know. I see through it. You're not a powerful witch. You're just a bitch. And I'm calling her a bitch because she's shaming people for having more than two baby daddies. And that's insane to me. Because there are women that may have 7 children by 5 different men, and they may be rolling. They may be doing good. Who knows? But I know I'm crazy for saying that. And I'll be looked at as being stupid for saying that because I'm not taking up for any reckless behavior. What I am saying is that she is the wrong messenger. The messenger is corrupt. Therefore, if the messenger is corrupt, the message is corrupt as well. You cannot make a blanket statement like that. You can't do that. And I'm just tired of social media giving people like her a voice, putting money in people like her, putting money in her pocket to say nonsense like this. But then you have the government over here trying to take away SNAP benefits that they know will mainly affect women with children. They're trying to take that away to harm women and children or limit what they can buy in the store. And I guarantee you, she, meaning Tiffany Haddish, she would be for that. I guarantee you. I don't care what people buy with their SNAP benefits. It's not my business. Buy what you want. There are other bigger problems going on in the world, but see, they don't want us to talk about that. They don't want us to talk about how over in Israel and Iran, the real reason that they're having that war is beyond most people's pay grade. Not only is it destroying the world, it's also about trying to distract us while they open up more portals, like they did during the September 11th attacks, and then proceeded to do it even further when they attacked Afghanistan, and then went into Iraq. But she's sitting up here trying to shame women for being able to do something that she can't do. And that's no shade on any woman that's infertile and cannot have children. That's not what I'm so please, that's not what this is about. This is about the spiritual ramifications of what this woman is saying. She's trying to put more hatred out into the universe, more division, more fear. And I don't think she should be given a voice to do that or a platform to do that on social media. That's all I'm saying. Especially when you yourself have mental issues that you won't even address. You know you have mental issues, but yet you want to make this blanket myopic statement that women who have more than two baby daddies have mental illness. And then you continued in your connotation degrading them and attacking them. While you talk about defecating in somebody's shoes. Why would anybody have this woman on their podcast? How did somebody like this become famous? Better yet, the part of her rant where she talks about if you get pregnant by multiple people, that's multiple spirits, multiple thoughts, multiple modifications from different DNA strands. Well, I have a question. I have a question. Who were the multiple people that went in to creating Tiffany Haddish? Who were the different DNA strands that went into making a woman who would defecate in somebody's shoes and be part of a movie where it looks like she's grooming children? Looks like. And like Monique told her, maybe if you did have a husband like Monique's husband, maybe if you did have a husband like that, maybe you wouldn't have been in a movie where it looked like you were grooming children. Maybe you wouldn't be getting so many DUIs. So my question remains, what DNA strands made this person Tiffany Haddish? What multiple spirits and multiple thoughts went into making you? Because it sounds like you're speaking from personal experience. It sounds like you're trying to tell us a never ending story about who and what created you. While we're dealing with worldwide events, she's talking about how many baby daddies women should have and how many they shouldn't. Because obviously you don't have any children, but you were struggling so much financially that you had to appear in a movie where it looked like you were grooming children. So let's not talk about people struggling financially. Let's not do that. Because you don't know what mothers go through to raise their children. You don't know. Not even mine. I'll even give that to my mother. What else did I want to talk about? Just to just to talk about how social media has created so many demented people. But that's really all I wanted to talk about for right now. I just wanted to come through and just give my personal view on this Tiffany Haddish comments because it kind of bothered me because this is who social media gives a voice to. People like this, people who they know have mental illnesses, and they want them to be the voice of reason. No, thank you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.